So, hello and welcome, my dear fans and listeners. In this video, I'd like to make a little walkthrough through my track Forgotten Promises. I want to show you how complex my work really is and how much effort I had put into it, so that you can imagine when I'm uh, saying that my mixdown's not the best, but still, for that much happening is still good to go. You will see that when I'm making the view a little bit smaller, and I'm trying to cover many things in this live stream, like about music theory, how I build up the track, how I make the changes in the track, and how you can turn that from the last session that I showed you from the most common chord progressions, uh, how you can build it up. And I'm trying to also put in uh, Fruity Loops basics and many more, like how you can work faster, how you can create presets, which kind of stuff you can do. Maybe the most of you know them already, but I still like to share them. Also, I'm showing some ways for people who don't have strong working stations. I mean, laptops or desktops. It you can find some ways to make still there's a way that you can still compose music with a low PC if you have, as long as you have a fast HDD drive. If you don't have that, and if you have a strong CPU, there are a lot of ways. Anyway, I'm trying to start with the track itself. For those who don't remember the track, I'm giving a shot for not for the whole track. I'm just playing it for a few seconds so that you can imagine, and then I'm making a little previews of each pattern, how I build it up, how I came to this, and I'm trying to explain and show how big is the project at the end. And then I'm going to the tips of Fruity Loops for you guys. You still can write me. I hope I can write you all the time, because if I go into my YouTube channel, would be creating delays, and I would hear myself and the music twice. So please think of it so that I can answer right away. Anyway, I'm starting to play the track, and then let's see how I build it up the track. Okay, so let's go. So good so far. Now, this was the small view of it. And when I'm working, this is even not my biggest project so far. I have uh, songs that have even more happening in it. This will look a little bit confusing maybe, but if I shrink it up, the whole track, don't mention the left side, this is another track. This one is the track itself, and it goes till you see how much work is in there. That's a lot of happening on stuff, right? In this track, I used 6 tracks for percussion and drumming, and for the hi-hats and anything else happening there. These parts are violins and short melodies. These are some are choirs, I guess. Yeah, it should be choirs and rips from horn rips. And these are the brass section, and the single ones are short melodies like this one. I will go in detail later. It's how should I tell? When I start a track, I don't start like the most composers. I just take a simple spiccatissimo melody, and I'm building up my whole track from this one. This simple 2 melodies. I'm starting with low ends, I mean low instruments, like basses and cellos. This is my favorite style to start a track. And then I'm trying first of rhythms out and slowly build up the whole track. And then I'm going at last for the rhythm and else. And then I'm making the mix down. Sometimes I'm do it while I'm composing. Sometimes I'm doing different, but I'm not exporting my stems to WAV files and messing around with them and creating automation clips for it for avoid clipping and so on. That I'm leaving to my multiband compressor and anything else. Okay, I'm starting with my low ends. Like in the last video, I showed you some tips. If you have a chord progression in your mind, you can follow the root keys to do that. I like to layer them to make them even brighter a little bit. I'm always trying to that my basses are for the bassist, but they still have a little bit of mid frequencies to stitch out a little bit. Not just for bass, I mean that you can hear them a little bit. And even so for the spiccatissimos of violins and mid frequency sections. Hi Angel, welcome. So sorry, I'm still ill a little bit, and I'm doing my best to hold my breath a little bit back and not to. It's really tough to say that without misunderstanding. To cough a little bit. Anyway, I'm starting with the first pattern that I used to. Let's see, from here is that main chord. So it should be still from here always the same chord progression. Here comes the change. Here comes the repeat of it. A little change, I mean. Here comes the main again, and here's the final of the track. This part here is 3 notes up to create the beautiness in it. Yeah, great. The beautiness in the track itself. Okay, I'm starting with the low ends. My low spiccatissимos sound like this. A little bit harsh, yeah. and they are always doing the same thing. Like for the cellos, I did that like the last time with a 7, it should be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, right. They sound like this. You see, it's not that complex, but when they play together, it builds up a really beautiful harmony. And I have some uh, violin spiccatissimos like this. Nothing much. Nothing more and less. It's a simple melody up and down. And what makes it beautiful, you will hear them when I'm copying that into another part, and I'm showing that how you can build it up really. And this is my favorite ones. They sound a little bit harsh. Spiccatissimo runs. Okay, these five, no, yo, 1, 2, 3, 4. These four just create the harmony for the feeling. But what makes them much really stitch out, the track itself, are the final little details that I add from time to time to the track. Like the brasses here, short brasses. And what I really love are these rips. You can hear them in almost every track that I make in this direction. Just wait. These things are making the track much more beautiful, as like in freestyle. I don't know, the most people don't maybe know that genre, but there it's like the hits in there, like dun 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 dun. These things are making the track much beautifuler to give the feeling of a good. Here's the beginning of the hit and the next step. And this fits always if you follow your chord progressions and trying out that to fit them. I already know that here, that's why I don't need to think about it always. And all these together need a counter melody. If they have their own melodies, I'm like to add some higher, 1 octave higher picattissimo violin to it to make a little different melody for the track. So like this is really one of my favorites. It's nothing special, but they still playing in the range of the chord progression. And now the brass section. For the brass section, I'm playing around because adding more stuff is taking more space in your frequency range. And I have to orchestrate them a little bit differently from when I'm using trombones like this. They sound like this. I can't play the other trailer brasses and the low brass that I added. I have 3 brasses in there, and these are, some are layered, the trombones are layered, playing a different direction, I mean like an inversion, and the trailer brass plays the main root notes, following the root notes I mean, and the low brasses, they play a little brighter melody, harmony from the chord progression. It's maybe a 5th or 7th, it depends on the flow of my track. They sound like this, the trombone. Before I show the trombones, I'll show you the brasses. This is the root note. So. Nothing complex, you see, simple notes, and these are the variation of it for the trombones. And if I'm playing tracks like this, when I'm composing complex songs with many instruments in it, I have to shorten the brasses as much as I can. If I would playing them like this all the time, it will create a lot of build-ups, and this will create muddiness in your track. And this is a really annoying part of epic music and organic instruments. But this will be covered in another video when I'm talking about wave shapes and anything else. So for the next part, I can say these are, yeah, the choirs, the short staccato choirs. They follow the main melody of the violin picattissimo, the one octave up. They sound like this. This is just the altos. I have a soprano here too, and a different from another patch from 8-Dio, like Lacrimosa staccato. Layered them together, always playing the same melody. What makes the parts fitting glued together are the little details that I add, like the trumpets here, to introduce the climax of the track. Maybe a little bit. That's it. It's nothing much. You see, one instrument playing some beautiful part, and that's it. And I'm repeating it and changing to the end the second play style. So, and Jennifer is the vocal here are to build up the climax, to introduce the next part. Sorry, for the next part that is coming. And she's really quite building up, as you can see. I'm going to play it again. Without the track, it sounds lame. But when I'm playing all together, it sounds beautiful. And for the next part, it should be the violin, I guess. No, the tubas. I should name my libraries here. So. You see, I'm still playing the same things, just on the second time I make a little change. Nothing more, nothing less. The choirs are the same like in the tutorial. I can play it again, but I'm not going to play to the end. Listen to it and enjoy it so far. Then it's going to repeat because I was lazy to copy and paste it to into another clip. I mean, I just took the same pattern for it. It's nothing much. It's so far the track is really simple build. I have some horn parts like this. That's it so far. It's not much, and these are just vocals, but I'm not going to play that right because when they are out of sync, they uh, confusing. So these are just shouts, man shouts, to make the. Before I go into the breakdown, I like to add some shouts to give a nice feeling to it. It's like just simple words like hoo ha and else. They're following just a simple rhythm from my track, and that's it. Nothing much to make it much more. Yeah, I can't describe it right now. Anyway, and this part should be. Let me take a look before I say something. Yeah, just the string parts of the violins for the end. So simple. And now, here, this part is the crucial part of the track. This is the part where the whole track starts to change for the before the final of the track comes, the ending comes of the track. I mean the outro, or how you like to. The breakdown is really important. This is because I wished to change this track into a whole another different direction, and there are many ways that you can do it. You can use for the breakdown the same chord progression from this, but I don't like to do that because I'm to change that while you're playing the breakdown it will be tough. So I'm going to end it with a bang and swelling in another drone sound to introduce the next chord progression that I create. Here, this chord progression is a different chord progression from the beginning. It's really simple, like this. See, something so simple, but still sounding harmonic. What makes the magic are the violin part here, like this. No, sorry, the piano. Alongside with the violins for it. I think that is this one. Yeah, right. The same melody, the same thing. So, but what makes this part from a tiny little part the great impact is the things that I add from thing. You see, when you watch to these clips, these are playing always twice the chords. That means the same notes hitting twice and making it a little bit longer without moving the whole track itself. So the idea is really simple. This is the chord progression where I use from Lust of Love, but I make a little change in it. No, sorry, it was the same. Just make I did make it a little bit. I made them playing twice. Okay, I forgot it. I thought that I have a previous version with the Lost of Love, and later on I decided to change it. The same things here. The choir playing alongside the chord progression, the violin melodies with the piano, and Jennifer's vocals, soprano voice here, and after then, repeating them 2 times is more than enough for it. It should be 20 seconds or so. That's more than enough. Then I make a little change here. I drop that and make a third chord progression, following still the same root notes, just the change is on the second and the third and the fourth note. It's changing like this. This is the chord root notes from Fairy Tale that I showed in the last video too. You see, I've combined the main chords, I doubled them, then I make a change. Not too long, the same length of the change here. And then I'm going to repeat that first part. And here is the critical point. This part here, I'm going to play it when the change comes in. And then you can hear the jump off of the 3 notes up. That's enough so far. You see, I have the same chord progression like the main in the beginning, just 3 notes up. This is always working if you have a repetitive song a little bit, but it doesn't sound repetitive because you're making 3 changes. In the breakdown, the first change, you calm the track and make it slower, and then you repeating the notes by 2 times, and then you play repeating your first part. So before you come to the end, this is the way I did it in this track, and I'm glad that people liked it really, because it was so fun to compose that track. Before I'm going to compose something different later on, I'm like to give some advices for the composers. First of all, before you start any project, I recommend to go to your options and set your DAW right for Fruity Loops users. Make sure that you're starting with, if you have a low CPU and a lot of CPU usage in your samplers and VSTs and anything else. If you have problems with your CPU, set that time base here. Its standard is 96. Before you start your project, set that first off to 24 to save a lot of CPU. This helps to avoid crackling while you're composing and or recording. Also, you should set up your Kontakt libraries before you start any track. Like if you have no controls about releases, like here in Metropolis Arc, the low strings, okay? They have a really good interface for the releases. If you have shorter nodes, then better, because having too much release will lead to build up in your tracks, and this will cause losing of gain for the output later. You will have maybe you have the risk to get more muddiness in your tracks. The shorter the better, I say always. And if you want to make something long, then it should always be the drumming. The first hits should be really punchy. In my tracks, I like to do that. For epic composers, it's different. They like to do more percussion, but I love punchy drums and rhythms. I like to feel the bass always. I don't like the less bass tracks or something in that direction, I would say. So how you can set up your Kontakt if you don't have control knobs like in Ding, the Spicatissimo. Let's take an example. I just use my drumming for that, my own sample kit. So you go onto the option wheel here that you can show up. If you don't see that, sometimes it should look like this. For the mapping, you can put your samples in there and make them create some custom instruments. Even so, good for vocals if you don't want to mess around with pitching and anything else to match up the speed. This Kontakt is really strong, and there are many ways to work with it. Hey Daniel, welcome. Great to see you too. So, as an example, here, can you put your samples to play the melodies here? Here's another melody. It's just a sample of a kick. They sound a little bit crunchy because I have processed them a little bit hard. This is not really important, but when you have bought a library, the first thing you should check is always your release time. You don't have to do that with long, like violins or sustains. I mean just for short instruments. So some of them have that control. You can do that here. You can short it up. I recommend to at least 800 or 1200 is the best result that I have in this case. Okay, you can don't play around too much with the curve and attack and hold settings. It depends on the library, but the most of them don't need that. But before you make a change in the release here, the first thing you should always do, go into your group editor, edit all groups, and then set the release time, because this affects then every single sample in there. And that is, if they have round robins, it's really annoying when you have to set them all by once. So you can have the control there. Also, you can add many custom effects to it, but I don't like to play around with that. There are many options. You can have delay, reverb, equalizing, and many more. But this would be covered in a Kontakt tutorial then. For this, if you have troubles with CPU, as I said, if you have a strong CPU and your hard disk is really slow, where your double samples get streamed. I recommend to go into the memory tab here to write the standard. It should be 6 or 60 kilobytes. Push it up to the right and leave it so. This will help. This will use the CPU more than your hard disk if you're having DFD problems. Okay, that means if your samples getting lost and getting confused and it's sounding really weird. That happened to me in the beginning because when you buy Kontakt, you have to always set it up in the first place. The industry standard of it, the factory standard of it is at 60 kilobytes or something like that. This means it takes a little bit of the CPU and from your streams directly from your disk. DFD is streaming from the disk, nothing more. Direct from disk, sorry. And if you don't have a good SSD or not too much space, I recommend to use that opinion. More CPU usage and thing. And also check always that your processing is always activated at allow threaded processing. That helps you to use all CPUs. That means that if you have an 8 core, 4 quad core and 2 core, that means that the sampler will use all the CPUs. That will help you to get more performance. Also, there's some people are having misunderstandings of the usage of Fruity Loops and also in gain staging. What I tested over years is I'm not I'm rising all my instruments up to have a good input level of the before I go into gain staging. So I'm always compressing my samples to the point that the input gain is starting to cracking. Then I'm turning down all the compression and not the threshold. I'm rising up the ceiling and fitting up to it. I will show you that later how I'm processing my samples. So there are many ways to compose. As I said, I'm starting always with creating first my sample quality. That means I'm processing first my sounds, then I'm starting to write the tracks and I'm fitting while I'm composing. I'm doing mixing and equalizing at the same time. I'm always compressing, multiband compressing every single instrument. Not always. Some wave files I leave them so as they are because they are already compressed and normalized that I don't need to compress them anymore. I'm making them because you have a lot of dynamic instruments here. That means organic instruments are playing and peaking. They are jumping like thing, and I don't want to mess around, play around with automation clips. I don't like that because it's a pain in the ass and destroys the will to finish the track. So I'm leaving that to my experience, and I have tested over years. This is the best way it works on my side. Don't mention the plugins right here. What I'm always doing is like this. I'm taking here Maximus. This makes the is saturation, multiband compression, and many more. This is really a strong plugin. And you see, I don't have too much third-party plugins, just only on the master. And I'm using always the Fruity Loop standard things. Here's good. This can separate, or let's say they can make the sound mono in the in the range itself. This is really cool. If you just want that your low end is totally mono, you can switch over to the right. Don't play around too much with the threshold. If you have too much bass in it, I recommend it if you want to cut off the bass a little bit before you're going down with the post gain. This is a way to help out. For kicks, I recommend, for kicks I mean, not the percussion, I mean for kicks and drumming, I recommend to leave them totally, at least 20% of mono. You can do that also here in this knob. Kicks should be always mono. You will, because you get later on phasing problems. Linear phase and phase shifting is not really recommended. You can go with panning, but if panning doesn't work, you go into phasing a little bit. But I'm not going into detail here. Hey, Jefferson, welcome. So, what I always do is I process the sound. I'm starting to leave it so. I'm making an example right now how I do things. Just let me load up quickly a new instrument. I hope that my Fruity Loops doesn't crash right now. Let's say I take a high strings picattissimo patch. I'm going to, let's see, which one is the last? 35. Copy that. Now this is also a good feature here. If you want to copy channels just before you go into many shortcuts, you can right click, press C is for copy, like copy and paste, and press P, and right click, press P, you have the channel in there. There are many other ways to do that too. So I'm going a little bit further. So let's see, this is the instrument. So I'm just creating a simple melody for it. So since I'm using the high violins as a fast melody, I will start to compress it to the till it's getting distorted. Okay, that means I'm pushing as many notes as I can in here. It doesn't matter how they sound at the moment. It's just for the compression, for the multiband compression, to make them louder as hell without having too much build-ups. And they are not clipping, sorry. They are not go over zero. It's like a limiter 2, you can say. I'm going into the bands. Let's listen to it. It's less in the volume. So, first of all, a violin shouldn't have low ends that much. It means I'm going to cut off the frequencies that I don't need. It's like doing that with an equalizer too. Okay? Or you can turn it down totally. But you will see what I'm doing that in this way. You can shut it up to mono, set up the threshold, putting down, and it's good enough. You can leave it so. This still gives a little bit of mid frequencies together compression. So, and what I'm doing always, I'm never touching the threshold in the mid frequencies because they are always staying loud as hell, and if you do that, it will getting distorted in the end. What you can do here, just leave the peaking always at peaking. You can use that RMS compression for loudness. I mean to make it really harsh. You set up the frequencies as how you like it. You can watch it here in the top. You see? I like to leave it so, and I'm moving the high frequencies to the right a little bit because I don't want to mess around with this too much, and I'm setting a little bit to the stereo separation. I'm make it more stereo, like this. Not too much. And I'm rising up the highs and splitting them too. Okay? Now, some people, when I'm going to start to compress it, they would say it sounds like OTT, and that's why I'm always saying no. I don't use ever OTT. I just add saturation at the same time to it. Here, this is the saturation from Maximus, and I'm adding multiband compression. That means I'm compressing it and do saturation, so I don't need to do that anymore. But on the master, it depends on the instrument. If it doesn't have too much stereo shape, I'm going to split it up a little bit. Okay? Or make it a little bit mono if I want that is not stitching out that much. So before I'm going to compress it, I'm playing the sound and going just a little bit to the left, 1 or 2, 3, 4% for the threshold. That is okay. Leave the ceiling at 0. If you need more, you can rise it up. I'm recommended not for the beginning because the sound, you can turn the sound input sound here down, okay? But I'm leaving that so because I'm really used to it already. And now I'm going down with the ceiling till it's getting distorted. But before I do that, I'm switching over to RMS compression here. So check the peaks here. They are jumping at the moment. Going down. Now it's cracking. I'm making space. That's okay. You see, there's no clipping and jumping annoying peaks till now. Now, before I'm going to hit the compression more in and make the instrument itself louder, I'm rising up the peak while I'm playing it again. Like this, a little bit more. That's good. Open up the space. Rise a little bit up this shape. A little bit more. For the input gain. The input gain, and this is the output gain. Let's do it again. I'm just moving the post-processing till it's cracking. Okay, good. And now I have the loudness that I want for it. And now I'm moving up the ceiling because this is the way that I want my instrument at the moment. So now it's don't cracking anymore. The second thing that I add is the equalizer to cut off this 20 Hertz. Even I'm using still the multiband compression and I cut off the 20. You should still go with that. I'm loading up the default for you that you can see how I'm doing that. You're going to type, going to high pass, right click again, go to 8 step, reset it to the position, and then move it up to the left. Before you mess around, if you think that you're messed around, you can see I can't go up and down. Go to 20 Hertz, should be here in the low end, and a high pass, low pass here too, the same thing. Going to steep 8, reset that, move it to the right. I don't need frequencies over 18,000 because my tracks aren't that not going to use that. You can cut it off, you can move around with the shape, with the wheel if you like. You can rise it up if you need more, but you don't need that. This helps you to get a little bit more gain for your instrument. Now you can make the equalizing of the sound to the sound how you like it. You can do it also with the multiband compression, but I don't recommend it. So for violins we go to 800 megahertz and cut it off by 2 decibel. I'm doing a little bit more because it's harsh and compressed already. So sorry, I got lost my internet connection for a second. Anyway, I'm back. Again, I'm cutting off the mid frequencies from 800 hertz, and the cuts at 4K, moving the shape a little bit. And here's the, as you can hear, here's the annoying sound, okay? This sound here is really annoying. You can move that also too, but trying to cut it off a little bit, not too much. Okay, that's enough. Don't have to, it doesn't have to look like this. You can rise up a little bit at 1500, that should be okay. But if you're going more up, you have problems. This is a simple thing, step right here. Okay, let's say you want to use that preset always, all the time. Before you do that, you can add also, what I'm always doing is I'm adding stereo shaper to it, because I have tried it over years out. I'm going to use my high specs preset that I'm created for my tracks. I can share them on my Discord server with you if you like. Just ask it for it, and I'm giving you later on the presets. And I'm moving that to the left. So that you have a little bit. I'm moving up the high space here a little bit more. And that's it. Okay, now we say we like that preset, we want to have that always in every track that I want. Before you go to create a whole new template, you can use this way if you have a good idea, because mixing a track when it's not finished, it will destroy your inspiration. That's the most people are writing and getting later on troubles with the mixing, and I don't discover that because I have already my presets for it for each instrument, and I'm doing the main change in my master channel and in my master chain. That means I'm just creating always a new project. I'm not using any templates anymore. I'm making each track unique. I like to do that. I don't use any references. I'm not going to be some like one. I'm just me, and that's okay. So if you want to save that, you can go to the arrow and file, save mixer preset as. But if you want that same, before you hit here, let's say here, you can save it anywhere you want. It's okay, but then remind this, then you have to search it here. I recommend to save it where it is in the mixer folder. There you can create your own folders. Here you see patches, let's go, mixer presets, create new folders as I did, or save them like here, but then it would look like this. Terrible, I would say. You're getting lost someday. Just let me close them. If it's just in the mixer, that will be looking like this and going up. So you can see which instrument I used here. These are the presets that I used. Okay, let's say you want to use that preset in the next channel track here in the mixer. You just go to the arrow, don't hit, just hold the left mouse and drag and drop it to the right one. Now you have it. Then you can say on the next instrument, I don't want to be to have so much stereo. Then you can go to mono. I don't want that stereo shape here. Remove it, and that's it. Okay, this is a good way to work on too if you need time savers. So what is also cool feature in Fruity Loops is uh, all presets can be found in the browser here. If you don't have that browser here, you can go here, check auto hide. You see there are many options to show it. And if you have saved it, not refresh plugin, no, I don't need that. Reread structure, and then it should be pop up again because it takes sometimes to recognize it. The next time you open up Fruity Loops, it will be there, definitely. But if you don't want to reload your project because it's taking too long, you can reread the structure and that's it. Now you can drag and drop that into, like here. You have a different preset. This is for my altos, for the choirs. These for my Brahms, and working so much, they're already set to the perfect mixing level that I have in my project. Later on, you can adjust them. So, what is the next thing that I wanted to show was if you want a new project, I'm going to open up a new project for this. That's the best way. So, quickly, I'm not going to load up new Kontakt libraries. I'm just putting empty ones in it to make this example. I mean Kontakt. So, boom, bottom, boom, bottom, boom. I'm dropping it more and more. So, just a second. Yeah. If you want not to attach each channel by yourself, there's a little shortcut for it. You hold Control and right click, then it should look like this. Let's say you have every instrument you want in your track and it's done. I mean, all the instruments you need are in your project. Then you go make the first channel to 1 here. It should be like this. Turn it up with the wheel to the 1. Go to the first channel. Nothing. Don't touch anything here. Just press the mixer that is selected, and now hold Control, Shift, and L. This will attach to each. It will route the tracks automatically. Now, if you want to set your knobs not all by yourself to -18, you can go. You see on the left side, I'm starting always my tracks with -20 or -19. Let's say I can go, let's say 19, okay? You can copy and paste it here too. Right click, press C for copy, paste in for paste. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Right click here because I want that, and paste. So you can work too with paste, but this would take too long. When you have over 40 instruments, there's a little better way to do that. I'm going to select the first channel here, okay? And now hold Control, Shift, and not the first one. From the second one, you drag and rise it to the right or left, okay? Let's say I want, these are all channels that I have. Now you can move them up all together. And even if you have problems in your gain staging and you don't want to, you need headroom, you can select the two and they playing with different, let's say this one is so and so, I mark them again, they will move together with it to the shape and it will fitting, and so you can do it too. Okay, these are really cool features here. For the master chain goes the same. You can put in here some plugins if you want. I'm using the Fab filter, not this one, sorry. This is the new one. I never tried it out. The standard one, that's the limiter. My main chain looks like this. Just a second. Saturn for saturation, multiband compression, and my virtual mix rack. That's it. I don't have much more in it. For my working process, this works the best. I love this plugin. It takes a little bit to load up, but it's worth it. And because it's analog and has many features. It has air for, yeah, the most composers know what is for the high end to stitch them a little bit out. The air for the bass to create more depth. Equalizer, this is really sick. You can have punchy basses in there, and or more sub kind of stuff. Same for the presets, high end or silky. This is really cool. You have many compressors, not composers. Sorry. I'm using always the vintage one. This is really cool. Also, it should be a virtual drive. I never tried it. I don't know that what this does do. Here's a phaser 2, phase inverter 2, plus a little bit distortion for the bomber to squash the dynamic a little bit, to create harshness a little bit, and that the feel of the track is pressed together and makes it more punchy. You will hear the difference when I'm showing up the other tracks without any compression and dynamic compression. Plus, these equalizers are specific for each frequencies. You can see from 600 to 7 till 18, if you like. This is a really cool thing. What I like to use is this one. It's air shimmer. It's not pressing too much air to it. It's making shimmering the sound. It sounds really cool. Also, I use the mix bus, and my favorite preset is always the Brit N and playing up with the input. Make sure when you use a lot of more like this, adding to them and even more, that your when that happens like this, just close it and open up again. Should be working then. It's always the same. Let's say make sure that your VU output never going on red here. These one before they can. The mix bus should be always below 0. It should be maximum. I'm leaving them at 7 and 5 always. And later on, I'm adding the compressor to it for the compression to make it a little bit much more louder. For the saturation, I'm using a simple preset with warm tape saturation. I have a preset for my tracks. I'm adding just only a tiny bit of the drive. 5%, it's okay. What I where is difference in my setups is it depends on the tracks. If they have too much happening in drumming, I'm adding a little bit more dynamic to it, to 0 to 5. This will sound like a OTT compressor. It have a little bit tail, but it also creates the full sound that you can feel. I like to have bass in my tracks, and I like to feel that that is like a sub bass, not just a kick. It's come and goes. Kick is like just one word, but we people are just not talking one word, right? As I remember, I've spoken over a million words right now in this tutorial, and I love sub basses, and it's cool when you can feel this track is full of emotions and thing. This helps me to created, and you can play around with the saturation setups and shapes, tape saturation, tube saturation. That is up to you how your track is built up. And then I'm going to tiny bit of multiband compression. I'm making 6 bands. Some does like this, some different. It changes from track to track that I have. You see, I'm having set up already presets. Just if I don't have much instruments, I use this one. That's for the mid range for the 800 hertz, and that's enough. But I'm never adding here a equalizer because I'm equalizing with if I need to do that. If my mixdown is not saving it, then I'm using at least here something, but not messing around too much, just a little bit to stitch out the instruments. So the same goes when you, let's say you have set up your mix rack. If you decide to buy this cool plugin and mix a rack, you can go here, make presets yourself, and you see I have a lot of presets for each tracks and shapes of the master chain. You can go to do that too with the same here in every single thing here. That's why I love Fruity Loops. It's working really, it makes really fast working styles for you. You know, it's really handy. It's helpful if you don't have the knowledge and no one show you and you're stuck on composing and mixing over 2 weeks or something. My mix downs or production does take me sometimes 6 hours or 3 hours, sometimes 12 hours, sometimes 2 weeks. It depends on my stop bonus on the track. If I don't have the inspiration and mood for it, I take my time. If I'm inspired, then I'm just taking my old template, mixing up the track and making some changes in my presets here to fitting the track, and then it's done already. I can produce that track in 6 hours and I'm good to go. And the feedback is always insane from you guys. Is someone still there in the chat? Because I can't see anyone, just showing up 2 people. Let's see. Okay. Seems not like it. But anyway. And for the limiting, I'm leaving it at the end. Some doing that different, but I'm doing that this way. And this is the best way to get the gain that I want to have in my tracks. The output gain, the loudness and the RMS level, what I'm always talking about. And so on. What there's a cool feature too for Future Loops users. If you need sidechaining and you don't have money for third-party VSTs and plugins and many more, you can go with it. I'm taking the kick for it as an example. Oh, sorry for that. Really loud. So I'm turning that down a bit. Get over here. I'm just creating a simple kick beat, like a house beat or techno. So yeah, that's good. Now you want to sidechain your baseline, and you don't want to create automation clips. You can go to style 2, but you don't need to do that because there are much better ways to do it. Let's say I'm going to add here a bass. I'm having, yeah, that should be good. I'm going to channel 12 for it, not 16. 12. Okay. Let's say this is the baseline. So you have troubles with your kick, you want that your kick is punching out and you want to sidechain it, just give me a second. Okay, so what you do is select your kick channel and right click on the next channel where, or on the channel what you want to be sidechain to this track. First of all, right click, press OK. Don't mess around with this knob. Then you go into your channel from the bass and go into Fruity Limiter. Switch over to compression. Set this one to 1. It doesn't goes up if you have just only routed one thing to it. Now you can make the sidechaining here. Okay, let's play the sound together, going out down with the threshold to the end then. Okay, I'm just leaving that. So nothing happens right now, yeah? And you see what happened? But you don't want a techno sound like this. You want that the bass is still subbing like before, like this. Just wait. Okay. Here, now I'm going to move up the threshold. Let's say I want a ratio of 4. Let's see, 4. I can't see that left side because my TV is broken. So I think that it's 4/4, 4/2, or 3. Anyway, yeah, that's okay. 4. Okay, I'm going to move the knee a little bit to the right and moving up. So you see the blue line here? Now it's the compression hitting in. And now you have to read on the left side how many decibel is cut off. Just a second. Yeah, 3/4. Okay, now I'm going to raise the gain up to 3/4 decibel. Yeah. Now your kick have a lot of space when you're having troubles with your drumming. Just use that for low ends. This is a way to make sidechaining too. You can use that Fruity Limiter sidechaining effect for melodies too, like let's say you want make a house beat or rave, techno, or what else like with sidechaining. Let's see. No, I need to use the GMS for that because I like the sound there. Yeah, it's not working. Yeah, that happens when Fruity is messing around. So let's see. Yeah, the presets should be here. Yeah, I need to. Give me a second. I'm setting up to the right sound. Yeah, that's okay. Let's see. Take this here. But I'm using a chord for it to make it harmonic. So let's say I'm using the same channel for it because I'm not going to create each one. So let's see. You see, you have that gating sidechaining effect. But for the back to the bass, if you hear a little bit distortion, okay, don't mess around with the release too much. Play around with the attack a little bit, just a little bit, till the shape. Just give me a second. Let's see, that's the bass. I should add a bass, sorry. So. You see the shape here right now. Now it's a little bit distorted. When they are a little bit longer like this, they are getting distorted. And now move it a little bit till it looks like a linear shape. You see? It looks a little bit better and the distortion goes away. Okay? The attack is good for that. But as I said, don't play around too much with the thing. Release time. This is the thing. You can use also Fruity Limiter for just limiting, but I don't like to use that for the master chain. But if you don't have it, there are different ways to use it too. Let's say you don't have any third-party plugins. Let's move it on. I'm moving the other ones. Sorry. Yeah, not that one. Or there's an easy way. Where's my default? Tick. Should be that. Yeah, empty. Good. So select the main limiter. Here are many ways to limit here with it. You can leave it as it is. You can play around with the release time if you want fast limiting. You can go with less time, and if you have too much happening, I recommend to have a little bit, in the opposite. I mean, if you have quick things happening, you should have short release times, and if you have slow happenings, you can have a long release time. It's really cool. But before I'm going to that, let's play the sounds. Let's see. You want to limit. Now you see your master is still at minus 18 decibel, and you have a lot of space to do that. Now it's hitting the ceiling. No, not even. Okay, that's a little bit. Now it's going over 0. You see? All this is going to crash. Let's move it down again. There's a way that you want to clip a little bit. You can move the ceiling up. Okay. And just to 0.03 should be. It's not cracking, it's just distorting at the moment. When you have a track, you can hear the difference. You can limit that in that way too. Don't push around too much. What is also cool is the multiband compressor. This is one of my favorites for drumming, for my drum patch, like this one. Just give me a second. I just need to load it up here. Let's see, drum kit, load recent. Okay, I need to search my own patch for it. Drum kit, there you are. Okay, let's see, this one. Delete that. I will use the rhythm of Unshakable, the track I'm working on. Just give me a second to find it. I have so many projects. Heyo. Unshakable. Drums main. Yeah, that's one. Fitting right. They sound thin. At the moment, they sound really thin, right? No punchiness in it. And no bass in it. I have a preset. I could use that preset here. Still doesn't sound like the way I want. Let's go so. Now they too much, I would say. And which one was the right one? I think that's the right one. Yeah. 0C. Okay. I use this multiband compressor as a limiter too, to avoid clipping peaks, jumping peaks, I mean. And I'm equalizing on the top to adding a little bit more low end and brightness on the high ends. You can mess around how you like. And I'm going for the stereo separation, not with the thing. I'm using stereo enhancer for it. I'm panning that a little, this drum to the left because it works the best then, and I leave the volume at the standard, and I'm pushing up the frequencies that I want, that I set already up in the fruity multiband compressor, like this. It looks like this. Now, let's say I want even more bass. I'm going up with the gain of the bass frequencies. You see, it's still limiting, and if at the moment it's getting to distort, that means you hit 0 and go over 0. You can leave it like this. Then you have jumping peaks. So I'm matching always my sounds to the till it sounds the way I want, and I'm pushing them to the limit, because the kicks should be always stitching out than anything else. So I'm going to move that in again. Sorry. Stop it. So, again. Yeah, this is perfect to me, to my ears. And now I'm adding to the master my... Oh, where's the master? Ah, that's why it's so sounding weird. Let's have a listen. You see what a little saturation can change of the track. Okay, I just have a gain of 0 here. Let's say he does nothing. Let's leave it so. Now I'm pushing on. A loud bass, a loud drum, and not picking up. And when I'm adding other stuff to it, it doesn't peaking too much. So I would ask you guys right away, if you want to learn even more for the automations. I don't think that I need to go in detail. You can right click, create automation clips. Let's say you want make changes in your, or play around with the dynamic wheel here in Kontakt, okay? And you can go into the browser, browse parameters, go down till you get, oh sorry, too much, to modulation wheel, right click, create the shape. Because I'm have a short clip, it makes a short clip like this. When I have the whole project, you should always be marking the shape, that you don't have a too long clip later. And right click here for the volume, or for the panning if you want, right click, and then you can mess around. Here's the same rules with copy and paste. You can select the let's say I want that here in the middle here, and this one in, yeah, also in the middle. Let's say I'm just hitting, going over to the point, selecting right click, press C, going to the mon, press somewhere with the right click, again paste, you see, and I'm copying this. Let's say I want that in the middle for swelling. Okay, for swelling, is that the best way? Not, see, also for the dynamics, but you can do how you like. You can record it and anything else. These are short ways to do so. You can also use the cut tool to make cool things like this, to shut it up, cut it up, sorry, and take it away, and then stretch them out, also cool. In WAV files, let's say I will want to match a loop file, okay, to my project, okay. I recommend to do this with Kontakt because it has a time machine for it. It doesn't sound that weird when you're going to mess around with the WAV file itself. But anyway, let's take a look for a simple key forest. Let's say I want to use that rhythm from, yeah, now I should find the right one. 100 BPM, where are you? Oh, come on. Ah, artist stems, should I look now? I think that's one. No, that's not the one. This one, Gaia. Yeah. This is a, let's say your project is at 120, but the sample is at 100 BPM. Now it would sound out of your rhythm, okay? If you want to match the track to your, the loop file, I mean, to your track, go onto the WAV file, like here. This is this one. Right click on it, go to time, right click, auto detect, type in, if you know the BPM, you can then type it in, as here in that case is 100, hit enter, it's okay. And now it's starting to sound weird. Before you go, you can have a listen to it. It's sounding like this. It's like it's a robotic sound to it, as a computer would speak to it. Now we don't want that sound in it. We want that it sounds like in the first place. So how we do that? We go into auto mode. This makes the loop files almost sound like in the beginning. Don't mess around with the pitch too much, because if you're doing that, it's going to sound a little bit weird, like this. If you like it, you can do that, but I don't recommend it. Anyway, second way, you can use samples like this. You go into Kontakt. Let me switch over. So let's say we want our own instrument. Go to new disk, I mean new sample. Go to mapping editor, drag, also click and drag, and stop it always. It's because it has autoplay. You see, I have attached that sample to that K. It's a loop, yeah? It's a loop. But it's not looping at the moment because I'm not holding it longer as a sample is. Now we open up the wave editor and go. This also works for vocals. This is the best thing you can use on vocals. If you know the time tempo signature, it's making it easier and you have more controls. Even you can set up the tunes to it, rising up the volumes. It's really great. Okay, let's go back into the shape. I'm going to create a small long loop for it that I can hear it. Yeah, not that one. Go here away. And now I want that is going with my time signature here up. When I make a change here, this should be also changing. But messing around with all alone, that would be annoying to do that all the time. So you use Time Machine Pro, activate the grids, and this is 100 BPM, the loop itself. And now, each time when I change my tempo, this tempo from the loop will go with it. Make sure I'm playing it and you can see it when I'm doing that. But then the faster you go, the it's getting to start sound weird. So that means if it's just a difference of 20 BPM, it should be okay. Okay, but let's go back to it. 100. Yeah, it's always the same. Let's change the tune. Also the panning. And many things more. Okay? This is the way to do so too. Also for the loops, for the wave files, I have something on my mind. Let me just think over for a moment. I had something on my mind to show you. If you, yeah, that happens too. Just wait, click again. The wave file, please. Oh, come on, Fruity. Don't mess around, always. Yeah. So, if let's say I want that wave file in there, and that's okay the way I want to use it, and I want to still match it up without stretching it. Okay, you want to cut it off. You see now at the moment I can cut it. That's is set up here when you deactivate stretching. That means if stretching is selected, the loop is going to stretch. That means it's going out of your tempo, you see? But you don't want that. Let's see, I want to fit that. You can't hold Alt for fit it perfectly. Let's say the loop is looking like this and you want to match the track perfectly. You can move it there and now you want to cut it off. The way you can go from left to right. Just wait. You can cut it holding Alt and moving up, or just moving without Alt. Holding Alt is for more detailed cut, and the standard movement is alongside the grids. Okay? So if it's getting slowly later, I'm slowly out of ideas of the tips. There are many ways to set up your DAW2. Oh, like I said, always going to here. If you have problems with your DAW, go to advanced settings. If you have problems with your display, you can set up to keep it sober, or if you want, if you need more CPU space, don't just activate, don't distract me. It will look a little bit poor, but will help you to get a little bit more space. Also, if you want to play your samples yourself, you see I had in my last project 24,000 underruns. That's really sick. So let's clean it up. If you want as less latency as possible, go to your priority settings to highest, go to your playback tracking to mixer. Don't mess around too much with the offsets, just move it to the left. For the mixer, if you want to save CPU, as I said, this is for the mixer, for this one, that the lines are showing not in absolutely real time. You don't need that, because if you see your limit and it's not going above 0, then it should be okay. But if you want to be picky, you can go for 512 point sync. What is also important that you set up, you see multi-threaded generator processing. That it means that it's using your all CPUs for it. And when you composing, you should only run Fruity Loops, nothing else. Restart your PC and start Fruity Loops and just close everything else that you don't need with the task manager and start Fruity Loops and let it load it up till the CPU usage goes back to normal. Like here, when you start the first time, it goes up to 24. That means it's still loading something up. That's really important that you let your DAW work a little bit before you get it start. Here's the same multi-threaded mixer processing. That means the CPUs will be used for it. You don't, in my case, since I don't use a Midi keyboard for music production because it's out of latency, it's terrible, and I don't need that. Also, you should, if you have crackling without having a high CPU usage here, okay? Then set up your buffer length to this at least to 512 or 1024. That it depends on your thing, and for leave the rest so as it is. This helps you to think. Don't play around with the sample rate. 44 100 is okay. That's absolutely standard and nothing more. So you can solo with right click. I think you know that already, and also can create here automation clips, link controllers to them. For controllers, I'm not really into it, but there are really good ways. What I also like is to use Patcher for as an example. In this here, this is really like a little mixing rack of combining VSTs and plugins and else. Let's say I want to my plugins, effects. Let's say you don't own FabFilter and you want to make a side cut, okay? And you don't have that opportunity in your DAW thing, yeah? There's a way to do that. So let's see, we need the Paramix EQ2 for that, and we're going to set the default. It doesn't look like here. It should be at least default and some other presets on your side, and these are my presets. Anyway, I click and drag and drop them here. Yeah, okay, leave that so it is at the moment. And now we need a stereo shaper. So this one on default. Now we use that here to here. Use that here for the first. We press right click, go to outputs, audio, send to. Yes, that's the one. Moving, and go away. Right, moving them to them. Then here, and these both should go here. Okay. Now you have two equalizers working for mid. This in the sorry. Before you go there, you go to stereo, right click here, go to mixing, A side mid splitter. Now you have the control for mid and side. Now it's split it up to mid and side. So you can, the top one should be mid. Let me check it. Let's see. Sound. Some more, 16. Go to 16. Right? It's on 16. Yeah. Sure. Let's listen to it. Yeah. This is mid. Yeah. Let's create a little clip to have a better imagination of it. So let's close it up. No. So, go to the patcher. You see, you can make this cut in the mids if you like, and if you want to cut off your sides, the same goes here too. Sides are totally gone because this sample has its own side sounds. So you see, you can have the same effect like in FabFilter without paying too much for it. Okay, you can do that with this cool feature too. You can do many things more with it. You can, it's like in 3D art, combining materials together. And the effect is the beautiful result. The raw thing is gray, and the combination of the materials makes the thing looking much better. And that's it already. So anyway, I'm not going to compose anymore because I'm getting slowly tired. I hope this helps you out. If you have questions about anything else in Fruity Loops, there are many ways to get loading up faster tracks. Yeah, that's a good thing to know too. Let's say you have bought a new library. The most going out to load up a library, it takes very long. You see, but on my side it goes really quick. If you want really fast, as much as possible, fast loading times on your project, and you have Kontakt libraries, I recommend that you go to batch resave them always. That means press batch resave. Don't mention the warning. Just press OK, yes. Select the folder where the patch is. In my case, just wait. I'm going to resave that again. So batch resave. Yeah, because I wanted to go to D. There are my libraries. Let's say I want to resave that part. Go to ATO. In my case, the folder I mean, for the sample library, you see I have here a ATOH hybrid drums, okay? And look, it should look like this. Here are the NKI files that is going to be saved again, resaved again. Hit OK, then it's going to start resaving. Let it resave. It takes before you batch resaving them, open up an empty project for it, and then do resave every single patch that you have. Okay, a sample library. I mean, okay, not patch. I mean, do that batch resave, and next time you're loading up your project, it will be going faster. What is also recommended is if you have written your project, okay, and you don't, you just want to mix it, okay, then purge all your samples before you quit your project. Save the project like this. Let's load it up a standard one. You see, I have in my memory 280 megabyte in usage. If I would have much more, this will take very long. There are some libraries they have over 1 gigabyte and terabytes. It's not terabytes, gigabytes. It's really huge. Then you go to here to purge all samples. Do that with every single one, but make sure that you, before you're going to purging, save your project many times in Fruity Loops, because if you're going to have many VST and plugins on your channels, Fruity is going to crash somehow. Even if you have the best and the newest one, it's always make many versions of your project. That's what I really recommend. And when you want to change channels while you're playing and this can occurring, that is Fruity Loops is going to crash and your project is gone. But you can, if you are lucky and have autosave on, you can load up in your projects the last time it saved, okay? But I had many times the luck that I lost all my things, and that's why I'm always creating my MIDI files for it. This is also a good feature that I will add right after this. You go to purge. Let's save the project as it is. You have written your whole composition, okay? And now you want to export your track. Your project is loaded up with no file samples in it. That means you files have to be loaded up, but you don't load up. You don't reload your samples here. You just hit play, turn your speakers off, let it play for 5 minutes. I would say, or if your track is 5 minutes, then you should be playing 2 or 3 times. Let it play through that it can load up every single sample. Then stop the track again, and after you did that, then you can export your track, and no problem should occur. And because the samples are loaded up, and not all the sample of the sample library is loaded up in your project. Let's say you have pressed some like this. That means next time you can save it like this. You have 44, then better than having 280 like this, on a sample library, I mean. Okay, now I need to think. I had something on my mind that I wanted to tell you too. Totally forgot it right now. A cool feature. What was it? I'm getting old. I'm getting slowly really old. So, what was it again? For the MIDI files, yeah. Let's say if you're having problems with crashing and else, and if you don't want to lose your project all the time, okay? You can say, let's say I have created, I just load up one, okay? That is a thing in there. Let's say you have this melody, wonderful melody, and you don't remember anything of it, how you make the notes in it, okay? There's a way to save them. That's the best way to be on the safe side always. Make sure that everything is deselected. Double click here on the top. Okay, it should be nothing red. Then go to your file, export Midi as, and go select the folder where you want. Leave the file, this setting to Midi file. Okay, leave it as it is. Type the name in and hit enter and save. The same goes for importing them. Let's say you want the same thing on the next instrument. Just there's a shortcut, Control M, for importing them. Let's say I want halay. The Turkish people know what this means. You see, quickly load it up. And if you want to, don't go all the time here and export. You see, Shift Control M is for exporting, and just Control M is importing. Does work always. I recommend to use as many hotkeys as possible. These are really helpful. Also, let's say the people just wondered how I'm able to write things really fast, like this, and fill up the whole thing like this, and that. I'm almost done with my chord progression. See, because I didn't know the root notes that I want to play, like this. I just move them, holding Shift, moving up. Doesn't waste time too much. And now I have my chord progression. My favorite progression is this for action music. This is really cool. It does look like this. Just think of the first notes. Look at it. A, F, G, E. This is one of the best for action music. And then inverting them from F, G, A, E. That's really cool when you listen to it. So there's a way, you know, Control A for everything, Control C for copy and paste that. Go to the next bar, at least like this. If you're going too much back, it won't. It will pop it up some here or so. If you don't want that, paste it here. Move it to the 3 notes up if you want, and you have it. And you can do it all the time. Everything. You can also cut it out, like in Windows. Cut it out, paste it in another one, and done. Also, if you need stems for the people who like to export, I'm recording my productions with Edison. It's working for me because my projects are really, really huge. I'm getting always trouble with Fruity Loops because this is Fruity Loops 12. I'm not don't like 20. So you go if you want your stems, go to wave export, wave files, select, type in the name, let's say here, blah blah blah. It's okay. Split mixer tracks, and you see the disk space goes up. That means they are split up. Each, if they have a single channel or they are loaded up in, should be exported to. You will have the main master, you have the current, and all single ones. So, and then you're going to export it, and it's okay. For resampling, leave it at this and the maximum. Okay. You want wave files, I guess, and make sure that your mode is selected on full song for that. Okay. No, yeah, that's right. And the tail, you leave that as it is at leave reminder. This is not working, 450 kilobytes. It's just illusion. uh, Make sure that it looks like this and you're good to go. If you need to send your stems to a mixing engineer or mastering engineer, if you want to send to your friends for the WAV files to see where the problems is, in many ways, okay? Also, as I said, working with presets is the best way. Let's say I have my really beautiful looky project. this this is Waves of Harmony, I guess. My presets from Waves of Harmony, and these are the new ones. This is for my Liberty remake. I hope that I can finish it soon. I will stream it on Discord as a live stream in Discord, not on YouTube. If I'm able to remake it, where as it sounds at the moment, it sounds really cool, but I'm still having troubles to get the atmosphere as I did in the first composition, and I will give my best. As you can see, I have a lot of presets set up for each style. Let's say this is string song is more with a high cut in the mid frequencies. This also loud, and I have a cut of mid frequencies with a high low end. This soundtrack is for dynamic music, swangy, swangy. It's swangy. No, it's from this album, the last one from Forgotten Promises, and the second song. I don't remember the name right now, but you should know them. So also that works for the channel presets. If you want to do them, plugin preset means that plugins from stock from Fruity Loops. You can go in there. You see, these are all the plugins, and you can drag and drop them in if you like. These are the presets that you saved, and goodness. And it's really cool to work the fast way. It's always like working with on the PC. It's making things much easier for you. So Anyway, here you the same. You can right-click solo. I don't need to tell you that. These are the basics. You can watch them somewhere else. If you have other questions, you can always ask me through my email, theworking1983 at gmail.com, or through my Discord server. I'm always online as long as I can breathe and I have nothing to do. But when I'm out with my family, I'm still taking my time for the people, but my family goes always first because family is everything to me. You're also a part of my family because you're supporting me since the day you are joined me and listened to my song. So that means I'm I like to take my time for you guys, and if I can help you, I'm glad. I'm really like to share my wisdom, and next time I hopefully on another tutorial, I'm trying to make a tutorial about music from the start to the beginning, but if I want to do that, I need a really good template, and at the moment I don't have a good template for it because I don't want to give you the stress that I'm having when I'm composing. Writing melodies is something, and mixing is something, and mastering, and it can be really annoying the way I doing because you as a listener want to listen to the track, but I'm not like you. I want to make things really fast and it should be sound like that means I'm going to repeat a kick drum loop as an example 100 or 200 times at the same time, and even if I'm done later on, I'm going back to it and it will be chaotic. It's like a chaos because my thoughts are always jumping from here to here. I'm going to okay, this is a new idea. Okay, okay, this doesn't sound like the way I want, and I'm going to change that later. Or in the end, I'm running into mastering problems because of my mix sound is then messed up. Then I'm getting confused and losing the will to finish my track. And I don't want to give you that. And that's why I want to prepare a beautiful template that is near to my standard that I want to have from loudness and uh, clean samples. And I'm giving my best because I'm trying over years many libraries out and many presets, and these and on the last album that I'm working on right now have the best sample quality so far and less distortion. I know Spellcaster had many problems because this was my first time using 80 percussion drums. I'm not used to use toms and Ls and to process them, and I have made a mistake in there back then. I used distortion to make it sound more harsh, but later on when I listened to it, when I was composing, I didn't realize it. But later on, when let's say after 6 months, I listened back to my songs, I heard that that is a really annoying distortion, and I agreed it because I know where the problem is because it's from a free plugin that makes the bass frequencies really nice. Okay, but my input gain on the master, you can say the output, but it's inputting to the plugin was distorting before it comes out. Okay, that means it's always hitting the zero, and it shouldn't be doing that after my limiting process. And that was my trouble then. I agreed my mistakes, and then that's why I'm switched to saturation because less saturation, as I mentioned before. Maximum should be 5% or 10, not more. And for Ding, I mean, fab filter saturation. This is the only one that I have as a saturation. There are many plugins out there. You can try them, watch them, but for my taste, this is the one of the best. And make sure that you make EQ cuts on the low and high pass in on each instrument to get spaces. Cut off the frequencies from the instruments. Let's say from a violin, you can go to here, okay? You don't need to leave it at 20, so you can cut it up to here. If you see, listen to it. Your ears are telling you the truth, okay? And if you think that is too much, go back to it, push down the shape to, you can hold the wheel to move it a little bit more detailed and fit it up to your liking, okay? But don't mess around too much with it because this is linear shifting too, okay? That means you get phasing problems later. If you don't want to have a distorted bass in the end and or distorted instrument, don't play around too much with it. Okay, just Google for it. My connection lost again. Stereo analyzer or something like this. I use for leveling dB meter. You can switch to RMS, ABOL. I'm working with this one because I like that. Make sure that you don't detach that. I mean here, never detach this free plugin, okay? Because it's going to crash then, and it will crash your project too. You can detach the limiters if you want to have limiters on your side and you don't want to, if you click on the mixer, that it's going away, like so. Let's say you want that is always here, yeah? And not going away when I click here. You see? It's at the moment it's detached, let's say. When I click on the mixer, it's gone right. And you don't want that, you go into the menu, detach, you can make colors of it, but I don't like to. You see, rename, recolor, and anything else. You don't need to. The same with the thing, states. Let's say you want the section 2 is not going away, that you can see that what is happening here. And then you can move it to the right places you want and start up your mixing process and mastering process. I mean, not mixing, the mastering process. Okay? And else. Okay? Okay. Slowly I'm out of ideas because I can't see anyone is talking in the chat. So I hope that if still are having some questions, I'm open to help you. And I hope you enjoyed it so far. And next time I'm hopefully coming up with live composing if I manage my template for the future songs. I'm giving my best, but that doesn't mean that will always the best. It means for me, if it sounds to my ears great, and I believe that it will be sounding great to your ears as well. And I'm really glad that I have fans like you. That means really much to me. Since the beginning I started composing, I was shocked. My first song was Domination, who was promoted the first time, and I never thought that they would ever support me and share my music, and I never thought that I would reach on the first day of the release 50,000 clicks as an unknown composer. And this 50,000 people who are listen to this song, or even 20,000, let's say 20,000, these people made my dreams come true. From that day on, I'm started to produce even more with more enthusiasm, and I get pimped up and felt like a war machine. And then the feedback come from the people. I have lovely friends here slowly. The people are really kind and having connections to each other too, and I like that. I know I'm a guy who's talking a little bit too much sometimes, but I'm trying to help the people and I'm trying to heal this world, even if it's just a little, even if I just can save one soul, that's more than enough for me. I'm not making music for anything else. I'm just making it in the first place for myself because when I'm happy, you guys will become happy too. If I'm unhappy, my friends get sad too. That's the cycle of circle of life and friendship. How you can be happy when your friend is sad, it's dragging you down. Yep. And because I'm a person who understands the people's heart, because I have been a guy like you from the streets, I have suffered many things, and I'm still standing because each thing, bad thing that you encounter is to build you up, to make you stronger, and if you let these bad feelings you have in your soul let win over, then you get lost. And I'm trying to help you with my music to find that strength, and this is my only intention. I want to help you to find the strength that is hidden in you. Everyone can be a composer. Everyone can be a star because all wisdom is hidden deep within your soul already. You just encounter wisdom. I'm not talking about uh, short wisdom and gained from over time. You have abilities that are already set in your body. Okay, you just encounter them. That's a friend told to me yesterday. That was really good example. Uh, someone said that she would like to compose, but she can. And the other guy said then you have to just only start, and that is nothing more. Start composing, start to try, don't give up. In the first time it will sound bad, yeah, maybe, okay? But from time to time you will learn and grow. And the life is the same. If you want to be a knowledge in this world and you want to change something, start to change in yourself. Start to fight, stop complaining and searching for uh, the mistakes and anything else from other people. Look at yourself, start to change. You want to be happy? It's in your hands. No money, no health, and no one can change that. It's up to you. How you feel happy, happy is up to you. So stop copying someone, start being someone. That is always my life philosophy. I'm not going to uh, I don't want to be like someone. I'm always being myself. If the people love it, then I know the people love me. And that's more than enough for me. If I could help someone to get to move on from a fight and getting strength and see the peace in the life, I'm really glad that I could help these people. Because I'm getting messages like, um, this goes up to you, Christopher. I'm really glad that my music could help you to win over cancer. I'm really wishing you the best of luck in your life and happiness and health. I hope Allah Ta'ala gives you strength even more. What I recommend is don't waste that gift that you have now to living the way you are now. It's time to thank you for the Creator. It's time to change ourselves. My example is always this world is a house. We eat here, we drink here, we live here, we cry here, we love here. we do everything, and the most people in this world are just complaining about their lives. When we take a look on the other side, there are people dying because of hunger, nothing to eat, nothing to drink, and they are don't complaining, and we are complaining. It doesn't matter which one is complaining. You have to think this house is the house of the creator. You are the guest. You are invited to live here. And the only thing is, he does everything for us. He gives us the possibility to speak to each other, the possibility to see, the possibility to smile, to feel love, to feel tastes, eat, and many more. And the only thing what we are doing is to complain how bad it is. How you would feel when I would come to you as a guest into your house and I'm eating from you and I say, this tastes like shit. You get mad at me in the end. Think over of these examples. And these are just little things that can be changed by yourself. And when the change comes in your heart and to other people's heart, then we are start to being really human and humanity comes back to us. Because the, because we are getting lazy and starting complaining, everything changed to the opposite. The times back on my childhood were much more respectful and much more love. They don't had much money and almost nothing to eat, but still were thankful and keep smiling. How hard the life was, the people were always smiling, and that is the reason why I'm giving all my best to get that times back. Not the times, I mean the respect, because respect is love. Respect is everything in this world. If someone don't has respect in the heart, no one there will never ever grow love. This is the absolutely truth, because if you respecting something, that means you're watching that you don't hurt it. If you because if you have the respect for it, then you're going to go against it and going to make mistakes, you know? Then you learn to grow with it. And growing up is a really hard matter, I would say, to take responsibility. The only one who's responsible for your life is yourself. So start make a change and you will see that life is getting beautiful when you do that. Because you start to see the things with a better horizon and much more beautiness. I could talk to the morning. I love to make philosophy a little bit, but these are my true feelings in this world. I also want to thank my dear friend Victor Emmanuel. I hope he's seeing this video too. I know we had some troubles back then, but I'm really thankful that you were there for me as a friend, as a composer. You helped me a lot in many things, and it's a shame that we did go different ways. It's okay, and I'm still wanted to thank you, and I want to thank the Prime Kronos and all the trailer music world and epic music world. And for those who are listening each day to my music, I'm really thankful for you guys. I love you, and this is so beautiful to me. I can't describe it in words. The love is the only thing that I can say to you. It's you that you are listening to my songs and you're feeling good with it. This is the beautiful gift that I ever could have as a composer. And that's why I'm really thankful to you guys, and I hope you stay the way you are and keep supporting me. I'm not of thing. I'm going to shut off my monetization. I don't have interest in money because I want to reach as many people as I can. That's why I'm asking you guys hopefully, that you're going to listen on my YouTube channel after I turned down my monetization. Uh, Please listen to my music on my channel, because if it's getting listened more, it's not about stats, okay? I don't care about that, because I know that my people are loving that. It's about that if it's listened more from more people and many times, the opportunity that my music videos are shown up by others will raise up with it. If less people are listening, then YouTube never gives the opinion to show being promoted by the random machine, I mean, of the AI and KI. Okay? That's one thing that I wanted to let you know before I end this video. Okay? Anyway, that was a really nice time with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it so far. If you have questions, come over to me on my Discord server. You can see the links on the community tab. Check that community tab always out, please, because I'm releasing there news for like claim releases and information about claims and licensing and else. And please, guys, read the descriptions of my licensing system. I don't have one, so please ask me if you want to use my music. Then I'm going to explain. Please read the video description. Every detail is in there. And if you have still questions, then just then write me a message about it. Because I'm really sick of it to answer over 1,000 times the same thing that even I described in every video. And also for the Facebook's fans, I'm going to make always the updates there too. I can't post tracks on my personal account because I'm still not working. I've been robbed 3 years ago, and since that day I'm not working, and I can't go social, so I can say. That's why I'm have to keep my things a little bit back till I'm finding a new job, hopefully. Okay, then I wish you a good morning or good night or good day to you guys. See you next time in the next video. If you are not coming, it's going to be your doom until dawn.